Hare Krishna. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Snapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mayam Tadanti Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Gurun Shri Udabadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajadam Sahagana Raghunatanvitam Tam Sajivam Satvedam Swavadudam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Deenabandho Jagatpate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanushrute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanjakalpatarubhyascha Kirpa Sindhubhayevacha Patitanam Pavanibhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gauravakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Shashwin. Thank you very much for the wonderful Mangalacharan. Hare Krishna, Kumar Prabhuji. Hare Krishna, Arya Govind Das Prabhuji. Thank you for holding the fort for me all these days. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna, Sacinandana Prabhuji. Dandavat Pranam. Please accept our humble obeisances on behalf of everybody in this group.
Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranams, Jai Srila Prabhupada.
Prabhuji, we have just finished the Mangalacharan and we are reading the Srimad Bhagavatam. We are on Canto 1, Chapter 7, and the text for today is text 11. Prabhuji, would you like us to recite the text, do word-to-word translation and purport, and then hand over to you, or how would you like us to go about it?
Yeah, that's fine, Mataji. How are we normally doing?
Okay, thank you very much, Prabhuji. Shashwin, would you like to read the text, starting with Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya?
Yeah, okay, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jaimudirayet Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavatyuttama Shlokir Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. Hare Krishna. Harir Gunachipta Matir Bhagavan Badarayanai Adyagan Mahad Akyanam Nityam Vishnu Jana Priya. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Kumar Prabhuji, would you like to do the word to word? Then Arya Govind Prabhuji can do the translation. And Panchali Mataji and myself can share the purport.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hare,
Hare
Hare
Hare.
of Hari.
of Hari, the personality
Personality of God. Guna,
Guna,
transcendental attributes.
transcendental attributes.
Aksipta,
Akshita,
being accepted in.
being absorbed in.
Madi,
Mati,
mind.
mind.
Bhagavan,
Bhagavan,
powerful.
powerful.
Padarayani,
Badrayani,
the son of Vyasadeva.
the
Deva.
son of Vyasadeva.
Atyahat,
Tihat,
underwent studies.
underwent studies.
Mahat,
Mahat,
great.
great.
Aktyanam,
Akhyanam,
narration.
narration.
Nityam,
Nityam,
regularly.
regularly.
Vishnu Jana,
Vishnu Jana,
devotee of the Lord.
devotees of the Lord.
Priya,
Priya,
beloved.
beloved.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Translation. Srila Sukadeva Goswami, son of Srila Vyasadeva, was not only transcendently powerful, he was also very dear to the devotees of the Lord. Thus, he underwent the study of this great narration, Srimad Bhagavatam. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Prabhuji. Panchali Mataji, would you like to read the translation purport, and I can start when you finish. I mean, wherever you want me to start with.
Okay, Mataji, Hare Krishna. Shall I read the first two paragraphs and then you read the next two? Okay.
Okay.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
According to Brahma Vaivarta Purana, Srila Sukadeva Goswami was a liberated soul even within the womb of his mother. Srila Vyasadeva knew that the child after his birth would not stay at home. Therefore, he, Vyasadeva, impressed upon him the synopsis of the Bhagavatam so that the child could be made attached to the transcendental activities of the Lord. After his birth, the child was still more educated in the subject of the Bhagavatam by recitation of the actual poems. The idea is that generally the liberated souls are attached to the feature of impersonal Brahman with a monistic view of becoming one with the Supreme Whole. But by the association of pure devotees like Vyasadeva, even the liberated soul becomes attracted to the transcendental qualities of the Lord. By the mercy of Sri Narada, Srila Vyasadeva was able to narrate the great epic of Srimad Bhagavatam, and by the mercy of Vyasadeva, Srila Sukadeva Goswami was able to grasp the import. The transcendental qualities of the Lord are so attractive that Srila Sukadeva Goswami became detached from being completely absorbed in impersonal Brahman and positively took up the personal activity of the Lord. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Practically, he was thrown from the impersonal conception of the Absolute, thinking within himself that he had simply wasted so much time in devoting himself to the impersonal feature of the Supreme. Or in other words, he realized more transcendental bliss with the personal feature than the impersonal. And from that time, not only did he himself become very dear to the Vishnu Janas or the devotees of the Lord, but also the Vishnu Janas became very dear to him. The devotees of the Lord who do not wish to kill the individuality of the living entities and who desire to become personal servitors of the Lord do not very much like the impersonalist, and similarly, The impersonalists, who desire to become one with the Supreme, are unable to evaluate the devotees of the Lord. Thus, from time immemorial, these two transcendental pilgrims have sometimes been competitors. In other words, each of them like to keep separate from the other because of the ultimate personal and impersonal realization. Therefore, it appears that Srila Sukadeva Goswami also had no liking for the devotees. But since he himself became a saturated devotee, he desired always the transcendental association of the Vishnu Janas, and Vishnu Janas also liked his association, since he became a personal Bhagavat. Thus, both the son and the father were completely cognizant of the transcendental knowledge in Brahman, and afterwards, both of them became absorbed in the personal features of the Supreme Lord. The question as to how Sukadeva Goswami was attracted by the narration of the Bhagavatam is thus completely answered by this shloka. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, over to you. Thank you very much, everybody, for reading.
Thank you. Karoti vachalam mangalangaite girim yat kripatamaham vande Shri Gurudinatarinam Paramanandamadavam Shri Chaitanyeshwaram. Om Tat Sat. Hare Krishna, everyone.
Hare Krishna.
Nice to be back with you all again after a few weeks. So we're again having the stories of the Bhagavatam. Today we're going to be discussing the story of Sukadeva Goswami. A few weeks ago we were just discussing the life and teachings of Narada Muni when I was with you sometime previously. So it's nice to be back here, thank you. But I have to inform you some sad news. I prepared this class some time ago, and then I was giving another class elsewhere, and I left my notepad there, and it got locked in the room. And so now I have no notes to share with you. And so this afternoon I was remembering how Srila Prabhupada, he wrote his Bhagavad Gita, and then his wife sold his Bhagavad Gita. Then he wrote it again. What happened the next time? Then someone stole his Bhagavad Gita. And then third time Prabhupada had to write Bhagavad Gita. You know, Prabhupada had to write Bhagavad Gita not once for us. Prabhupada had to write Bhagavad Gita 3 times for us. So I had to prepare my notes all over again. Anyway, that was the bottom line. But I was remembering Srila Prabhupada, how he did that austerity for us. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So I need a little bit of help from all of you. I know you're all scholars of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Nityam Bhagavat Seva, you're listening Bhagavatam every day. So please help me. Tell me some things you know about Sukadeva Goswami. Just few one sentences. Sukadeva Goswami is, Sukadeva Goswami did. Tell me something about Sukadeva Goswami. You can just shout out.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Sukadeva Goswami was a parrot of Radharani's in previous birth.
Right. Yeah, Sukadeva Goswami was a parrot in his previous birth. The parrot of Radharani.
So I just follow on from there, Prabhuji. So I follow on with the parrot. So the parrot listened to Srimad Bhagavatam slyly without telling Lord Shiva, when Lord Shiva was talking about the Bhagavatam to Parvati Mata.
Yeah, that's right. And then Sukadeva went on to hear the Bhagavatam from Mother Parvati and Lord Shiva. Yeah. Okay.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Anything else?
Sukadeva Goswami did not wanted to come out of the mother's womb for a long time because he did not wanted to associate with any materialists. And upon the
Yeah.
request of Vyasadeva, he came out.
Yes. So from being a parrot, he entered the womb of the wife of Vyasadeva. That's right. But in there, he didn't want to come out. Anyone else?
And then when on the request of Vyasadeva, his dad, he came out and he ran away from there. He didn't even wait to wear clothes. And when he was running away, I don't know whether it was just after that, but there were some gopis in the pond. And once they saw Sukadeva, he didn't have any clothes, and he passed by and they didn't even cover themselves. While Vyasadeva, his father, was running behind him. And as soon as they saw Vyasadeva, they quickly covered themselves.
That's right. Yeah. So then after 12 years of waiting, then Vyasadeva, he promised Sukadeva Goswami that you won't be attacked by Maya. So he agreed, and then he was born and he ran away. He was completely detached. And you know, when you're in some place, you can tell if someone's staring at you, isn't it? In any public place, you can tell. So these ladies, they were bathing and they could see that he wasn't interested in them. And so they were not disturbed. They could see that he was a transcendentalist. Yeah. And then anyone else?
So he was an Atmarama.
He is an Atmarama. Yes. What does Atmarama mean?
And I think we learned that yesterday. I could be wrong, Prabhuji, but someone who's satisfied in himself, completely self-realized and satisfied, and does not need the external to be happy.
Yeah, someone who's self-satisfied. So they're happy from within. They're not looking for happiness without. They're not looking for happiness outside. Okay. Does anyone know how did Sukadeva Goswami enter the womb of what was her name? The wife's name of Vyasadeva, Vatika. Vatika's womb.
Is it? She swallowed it. I think she was watering a plant, wasn't it? I can't remember very well now.
He was, wasn't he Shuka? And Shuka heard what Lord Shiva was imparting the knowledge of Bhagavatam to Mata Parvati. And at that time, Shivji said that no one is allowed to hear this Gupta knowledge. But then Shuka was sitting there and he'd asked, so he didn't confess he was there. But Mata Parvati, Shivji said to Mata Parvati that when I tell you the story, because they both were in deep trance at that time, he said that the only way I'll know that you're awake and are absorbing what I'm telling you is you should continue doing And then while doing that, I think Mata Parvati, as usual, went off to sleep. But the sound continued, but that was Shuka was doing it. And then suddenly Shivji got up and he realized, when he saw Mata Parvati sleeping, he immediately realized that, the Shuka was there. And because Shivji had declared first that no one is supposed to hear this confidential knowledge, so Shivji threw his Trishul at Shuka. And Shuka then ran towards Vyasdev's wife because this was supposed to happen because Vyasdev and his wife had prayed to Vishnuji that they should have a son because they were not conceiving or something. And so when this happened, the blessing had to come true at this point. And Shuka went when Vyasdev's wife was looking up, I think, and then he entered through her mouth into the womb. But because he had heard the transcendental information, he did not want to come back out because he had come to know the Supreme God. And he said, I don't want to come out in this Maya. And he just didn't want to come out. I think for many years he stayed in the womb. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, that's right. So when he heard the Bhagavad being spoken from Lord Shiva, then Lord Shiva said that no one is qualified to hear this, so he ran after, or he threw his trishul. And then actually, because Sukadeva wanted to continue hearing, he went there where Vyasadeva was reciting to his wife, Vatika. But Vatika wasn't sleeping. She was amazed. She was like, ah, wow. And her mouth was open. And who flew inside? Sukadeva Goswami, or Shuka the parrot. Right. And so he continued hearing Bhagavatam for 12 years when he was born. Right. So we said that Sukadeva Goswami, you guys are doing really great. You already know that. I was going to tell this story. You already know it.
Prabhuji, this came on the television, actually. I remember from the telly.
Ah, okay.
My most of the knowledge comes from telly. I know we are not supposed to watch it, but yes.
We can do that when we're watching. You can just be on and fall asleep. But at least you're watching something Krishna conscious. That's the best thing. So we missed some parts of the story, so we'll go back a little bit because Sandhya Mataji, did you say that this parrot is Radharani's parrot, Srimati Radharani's
Yeah,
parrot?
Shuka, yes.
So how did we go from this parrot being Srimati Radharani's parrot to a parrot which is listening to the Bhagavatam recited by Lord Shiva? That's the beginning of the story. Let's start the story from the beginning. Does anybody know?
Is Shuka not the parrot that Lord Krishna gives to Radharani? When Radharani has to split up from Krishna and she gets married, and she's very sad. And then Krishna says, I'll give you my parrot, Shuka, and Shuka will be with you. And that so that Shuka can tell the world this story. And so he's the witness, the real witness of, but I don't know where Shuka starts, but I thought it was Lord Krishna's parrot.
Yeah, so this parrot is gifted to Radharani. And so this becomes Srimati Radharani's favorite parrot, you're right. So because this is her favorite pet, the parrot, that's how this is where the story actually begins. Yeah. So you guys have actually just narrated the entire talk for me. So there's not much to say, but let's try. So beginning of the story is like that Sukadeva Goswami, because I said everyone can share one line, but you've all recited the whole pastime, and I didn't want to interrupt. I was just saying, interested in what you're listening to, interested in listening to you all. So the story begins from here, actually, that Sukadev, or Shuka the parrot, is the parrot of Srimati Radharani. And she would hold that parrot in her hand and feed that parrot pomegranates, you know? You get pomegranates in Kenya, isn't it? Yeah. We also get pomegranates here, but we get your pomegranates. We don't have our own. But these pomegranates are Srimati Radharani's garden pomegranates. Can you imagine? They're nothing like yours and my pomegranates. So she would feed these, and she would also give sweet rice to the parrot. And what's the special feature of a parrot? Huh?
Repeat whatever you say.
Sorry, there was some background noise here.
Parrots can talk.
Parrots can talk.
They repeat whatever you say.
Yeah. So this is the amazing thing about parrots, isn't it? So Radharani began to love this parrot very much. And she taught this parrot to say, Krishna, Krishna. What did the parrot say?
Krishna, Krishna.
Wow. You can become Radharani's parrot. Like Radharani's parrot. So this parrot was learning to say Krishna, Krishna, but in Radharani's voice, in her own voice. You know that? Imagine that, Radharani's voice saying Krishna's name. That parrot learned to say in the same way. Because if you teach parrot, they only can say the way it's told to them. Yeah. So like that. So that parrot, you've heard this story before? What happened next? Okay, then I'll tell this part of the story. So then, so this parrot, then parrots are very restless. This parrot flew away. You know, after being fed nicely, after learning Krishna's name, what did the parrot do? Flew away. The parrot flew away and actually ended up in Krishna's garden. Went back to Krishna. And then Krishna thought, oh, very nice parrot is chanting my name. Krishna, Krishna. Krishna came out because the parrot was chanting. And he thought it was the sound of Radharani's voice. So he came out, he was attracted. And oh, it's very nice. There's a parrot here chanting Krishna, Krishna. So he took that parrot in his hand and he was petting that parrot, again feeding the parrot. But Lalita and Vishaka were in the neighborhood. They were looking for that parrot too. They were serving Srimati Radharani and looking for her parrot. Because that parrot went missing, and if it's your dearmost pet, you know, how would Radharani feel without that parrot? Huh? She was feeling heartbroken. So they came out to look for the parrot and found that parrot there in Krishna's garden with him. And they began to chastise Krishna, because that is the job of Lalita and Vishaka gopis. They chastise Krishna. They love telling Krishna off. And they said, you can't have that parrot. That's not your parrot. That's Radharani's parrot. And Krishna said, but if someone comes to me and takes shelter of me, I cannot refuse them. I cannot let them go. Let the parrot choose who he wants to go to. So then the parrot was there in the palm. The parrot didn't want to leave. The parrot was happy. Krishna was happy. But Srimati Radharani was unhappy still. So Lalita and Vishaka, they went to Mother Yashoda to complain to Mother Yashoda, because the only one who controls Krishna is Mother Yashoda. So there they go to Mother Yashoda, and Mother Yashoda says, Krishna, always playing with animals, you know, come inside the house. And she took that parrot away and gave to Lalita Vishaka, who went back to Srimati Radharani. So in this way, this was the parrot of Srimati Radharani. And this parrot would like to fly around here and there and chant Krishna's name. And then at the end of Krishna's pastimes in this world, then this parrot, which was so dear to Srimati Radharani, was requested by Krishna to stay in this material world, please. We're all going back home, back to Godhead. You stay. How would that parrot feel? Devastated. The parrot was feeling devastated. The whole of Vrindavan is going back to the spiritual world, but they're leaving me behind. That parrot was feeling so sad, but because Krishna requested, that parrot stayed. And you know what? We have all benefited because that one parrot stayed back in the material world here, and all the rest of Krishna's associates went back to the spiritual world after the pastimes. Then that parrot couldn't stay here in the material world very happily, of course, after being in the spiritual world, after being with Krishna even in the material world. And you know, that was a spiritual environment. That parrot was feeling morose. So that parrot had to go and find somewhere where his heart was pacified and peaceful. And therefore, flying around, that parrot came across a place called Ekamra Kanan. So this Ekamra Kanan is in Orissa. It's still there. Ekamra Kanan is in Orissa, in Bhuvaneshwar. Bhuvaneshwar is the place of whom? Who lives in Bhuvaneshwar?
Jagannath. Lord Jagannath.
Jagannath lives in Bhuvaneshwar, is it?
Puri.
Okay.
No,
He lives close.
In Ekamra Kanan, Ekamra Chhatra, there is a Lingaraj, Lord Mahadev, which is
Mahadev, Jai Jai Mahadev. Yes. Yeah, Lord Shiva lives in Bhuvaneshwar. He lives in Bhuvaneshwar. Lord Jagannath is not very far away. He lives in Jagannath Puri in Orissa also. Not far away. Yeah. So these two are great holy places. And yes, Prabhuji, Path Prem Prabhu, there's a Lingaraj there in this place, Ekamrakanan. And that was actually visited by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself. He went to visit and that Lingaraj. Linga means the deity of Lord Shiva. This Linga is the king of all the deities of Lord Shiva. There's so many deities of Lord Shiva, but this one is the king, Lingaraj, of all the Lord Shiva deities. So Lord Chaitanya, he went there to sing and dance and have the blessings of Lord Shiva, because Lord Chaitanya, even though he is Krishna, Radha Krishna Nahi Anya, he went there because he wanted to get the blessings of Lord Shiva. Just like as devotees, we all want blessings of the senior devotees. So he was taking a humble position of a devotee, and he wanted the blessings of Lord Shiva, as Shiva is Vaishnava Nam Yatha Shambho. He's the greatest of the devotees. He's the greatest of the devotees of Vishnu. So like that, he went there. And this place is where Lord Shiva recited the Srimad Bhagavatam to Parvati Devi. Yeah, at this place, under this tree, under this alm tree. Alm means mango. Yes, under the mango tree. So this is a forest with one tree. Ekamra Kanan. Huge mango tree. And that's where this pastime moved on to, because that's the same place where Sukadeva Goswami, he found that Bhagavatam being recited, and he was listening. And then from there he went to the place where Vyasadeva was reciting Bhagavatam. Does anyone know where Vyasadeva was reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam to his wife Bhattika Devi? I also don't know the answer to this, so I'm asking. Sorry, Prabhu?
Samyapras Ashram.
Shamakashram.
Samyapras Ashram.
Ashram. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Prabhu. I also didn't know that one. Thank you. So then he went to this place, and now he's hearing Bhagavatam again in the womb of Vyasadev's wife. And from there he takes birth as the celebrated Sukadeva Goswami. So what does Goswami mean? Because now he's not Shuka the parrot anymore. He's now Sukadeva Goswami. Anyone knows what Goswami means?
Goswami means one who can control all the senses.
One who can control the senses. Yeah, that's right. Go means senses, and Swami means master. When I go on book distribution, sometimes I will say to people when I'm distributing Prabhupada's books, this book can help you become the boss. You know, I say that to people. And they say, oh, I like that. Let me know more. Why is it, why is this book going to help us become the boss? If we have, say, one of Prabhupada's books, Prabhupada is training us to become Goswami. In material, everyone wants to become the boss. Sometimes I see the people in slang, they say, how you doing, boss? They say like that. I don't know, in Kenya, they say like that. Yeah. Everyone likes to be the boss. So I'll stop people on the street and distribute books. Hey, boss. Hey, boss. Stop. And then someone who thinks they're the boss, they'll stop. But they can be the boss of so many things, so many so-called things. But if they can't be the boss of their senses, if they're going to be the servant of their senses, then who can they really be the boss of anyway? We can think we are the boss of everyone, But if our senses are our boss, then we're hopeless. Our life is hopeless. You know. So Goswami, he means one who is the boss of the senses. And when you can master your senses, then that's better thing. That's a better thing. Otherwise, you're only servant of the senses. You want to see something nice, hear something nice, taste something nice, touch something nice, smell something nice, but you'll never be satisfied, never be happy. Lifetimes and lifetimes will go on just on this external level, because the senses will control you. But if you can become the boss of the senses, if you can control the senses, someone was saying earlier, Panchali, I think was saying earlier, then you can become Atmaram. You can become self-satisfied. You don't have to look for satisfaction outside. So Sukadeva Goswami is such a personality. Prabhupada wants us to be Goswamis. Prabhupada is giving us opportunity to become Atmaram, self-satisfied in Krishna consciousness. How do we become self-satisfied in Krishna consciousness? Is in the first line of this verse. Hari Guna Sipta Matir, isn't it? The answer is all there, just in the first line. Hari means Lord Krishna. Of Hari, the personality of Godhead. Guna means transcendental attributes. So Krishna has transcendental attributes. That means Krishna has all spiritual qualities. Everything about him is spiritual. That's Krishna. And then Akshipta, becoming absorbed in. So how to become a Goswami? Become absorbed in the qualities of Krishna. So this is what Lord Chaitanya was teaching us as well. This Hari Guna Sipta Matir. Matir means mind. So Lord Chaitanya, he would go around and sing this to everyone. You know that? What would Lord Chaitanya do? All day long, there's a song. He says, Dule Dule Gora Chand, Hari Guna Gai, Asiya Vrindavane, Nache Gora Rai. So this is a song. Lord Chaitanya would go around and he would sing the glories, the good qualities of Lord Krishna. And he would dance and dance, and he would attract so many people from singing and dancing. Why? Because Krishna's qualities, they're akshipta, they're naturally attractive. The transcendental qualities, they're not mundane qualities. They're so attractive to the soul. They awaken the soul becomes attracted. And when Lord Chaitanya was singing these glories, he himself is such an attractive personality, because even his name is Gauranga. What is his other name, Lord Chaitanya's other name? Everyone? Sacinandana, yes. His name is Gauranga. Can you all say Gauranga?
Gauranga.
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 Gauranga. So this is Lord Chaitanya's other name is Gauranga. I think everyone's just become, happiness has increased from chanting Gauranga. Yeah? Because that means he has golden limbs. You ever seen a person with golden limbs? Golden body? Imagine seeing a person who's like a golden person. Even his personality was so beautiful. And he was dancing. He wasn't just like moping along the street like, but he was dancing, dancing golden person. And Hari Guna Gai, he was singing the glories of Krishna. Everyone was so attracted. So Lord Chaitanya, Gauranga Mahaprabhu, has given us such an easy way to become a Goswami. People think, oh, control the senses, oh, Ekadashi, you know, right? Now it's what Chaturmas, you know, fast from this 1 month, fast from that 1 month. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he did all austerities. We can never imitate the austerities Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did. He's Sannyasi Ramani. He's the best of all the sannyasis. No one can be such a great controller of the senses as God. Lord Chaitanya, he showed us his opulence of renunciation. Krishna has 6 opulence, isn't it? So Lord Chaitanya, he's showing us no one can be more renounced than me. So we don't have to follow such austerities as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did. But he did give us one thing to do. He said that Yare Dekhe Taraka Krishna Upadesh. You can teach people about Krishna's good qualities. And how did he do that? He went out and singing, dancing. Yeah, we don't have COVID anymore. We don't have to stick around in our house, except for Bhagavatam class. Yeah, we don't want to miss the Mataji's organizing this Bhagavad Gita so nicely. We don't want to miss this. But apart from that, we can arrange to go out and chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. And the whole of Eldoret will come to the Bhagavad class. Wouldn't that be nice, Mataji? Yeah? Super. Perfect. So you can arrange that. Yeah. So all the answers are there in this first line. You want to hear some more stories about Lord Chaitanya? Yeah? Okay then. So one day, when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he was very young, he was Sacinandana. Someone said Lord Chaitanya's name is Sacinandana, isn't it? Somehow my spiritual master, he gave me the name Sacinandana Karuna Das. So I should try and make that name worthwhile somehow by glorifying Sacinandana, the Supreme Lord, in his childhood form, the son of Sachi. Hari Bol. So this boy, Sachi's son, his name was Vishwambar also. His name was also Nimai. And Nimai, he had a best friend at school. Does anyone know what his best friend's name was?
Was it Gadadhar Pandit?
Say again, sorry?
Was it Gadadhar Pandit?
Gadadhar Pandit. Yeah, Gadadhar was one of his friends. Yeah. So Gadadhar was one of his close friends. He had another friend who was like his best friend also. So Nimai Pandit, Gadadhar Pandit, there was another one, and his name was Jagad Ananda Pandit. So we're going to talk about him today. So another friend of Lord Chaitanya, his name was Jagadananda Pandit. And just like Gadadhar Pandit, Srimati Radharani, in another pastime, in the Krishna Leela, then Jagadananda Pandit, he was Satyabhama, Queen Satyabhama Rani, in another pastime with Krishna also, in the Dwarka pastime. So he had a similar kind of rasa. He had this conjugal rasa also, like the same as Gadadhar Pandit in the Krishna Leela. So he also had in Krishna Leela similar pastimes. So anyhow, so one day then Nimai Pandit, Jagadananda Pandit, as small children, They were coming from their school. They were coming home from school. You know where Lord Chaitanya went to school? So he went to school in Godruma Dweep. Yeah, that's where his school was. You know, we sing this song, Nadia Godrume Nityananda Mahajan. So Godruma is where Lord Chaitanya went to school, actually. It's not mentioned in this song, but I'm just reminding you there's also that song. Now, even when you hear this song, you can remember where Lord Chaitanya, Nimai Pandit, went to school. Then they're coming home from school together, Jagadananda and Nimai. And they're passing a forest. Godruma. Druma also means like a tree. So the place of trees. So a small forest there. And again, what do we see? What animal do we see? What favorite animal do we see in the forest?
Tigers.
Snakes, tigers. Wow, you guys have scary favorite animals.
Peacocks.
Peacocks. I like that one. Yeah. Nothing against if you like tigers and snakes. That's okay also. But they saw a parrot, actually. They saw parrot there. And why do we like parrots?
Because they repeat whatever you say.
Yeah, because they talk. Yeah. So they saw parrot, the green parrot. Wow. They thought, let's speak with the parrot. Children like to talk to parrots, right? So they were speaking with this parrot, and they were trying to teach the parrot. What would you teach a parrot if you were going to teach a parrot to talk?
Names.
Names
Names of people.
Names of people. Yeah. Okay. That's a good place to start. Radhe Radhe. Someone writes Radhe Radhe. Yeah.
Krishna.
Someone said Krishna. All wonderful answers. So they were treating
In India, we teach them to say Mittu.
Mittu.
Yeah, I don't know what
Sweet.
that means, but we all teach them Mittu Miya, and they all say Mittu Miya over there.
That means sweet, is it?
I think so, yes.
So Krishna's name is the sweetest of all sweets, isn't it? So yes, Madhuram Madhuram. Krishna's name is the sweetest of all sweets. So they were teaching this parrot to talk. They were saying, chant Radha Krishna, Radha Krishna. I can hear an echo. I can even hear Radha Krishna being spoken back to me. Amazing.
Krishna.
So they were teaching this parrot, but what was the parrot saying back to them? Gaura, Gaura. You know, the parrot wasn't listening. That parrot wasn't listening. They were saying, Radha Krishna, Radha Krishna. And the parrot was saying, Gaura, 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 Gaura. Okay. So if I say Radha Krishna, what would you say?
Gaura, Gaura.
Gaura.
Radha Krishna.
Gaura, Gaura.
You don't know like parrots though, you're not flapping wings. My Guru Maharaj Jai Pataka Swami, he recites this pastime and he makes everyone flap their wings also. But your cameras are off. I'm sure you can do that on your camera off. Radha Krishna.
Gaura, Gaura.
Right. So the parrot was chanting Gaura, Gaura. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Nimai, he was playing like a devotee. This was a Bhakta Leela. It wasn't Bhagavan Leela. He was playing as a devotee. So he didn't like to hear his own names. He wanted to hear Krishna's names. Krishna, he likes to hear his names when he had a parrot. He was attracted, he ran outside. But Gauranga, he didn't want to hear his names. He wanted to hear Krishna's name. So this parrot, so then they were telling off this parrot. They were saying, why are you not chanting Krishna's name. And the Parrot explained, because in this pastime you come as Gauranga, so I want to glorify you in this pastime. I said, what kind of parrot are you? Ordinary parrot. Which kind of parrot do you think this was? We know one extraordinary parrot.
Shuka.
That was Sukadeva Goswami. There, he was there. Even in the Gora Lila, in the Godruma forest. Sukadeva Goswami, he came there. Vrindavan Das Thakur tells us, that he came there and he wanted to also chant Gora Gora. So they found out, he's not chanting Krishna Krishna. The parrot said, you chant your way and I'll chant mine. You want to chant Krishna Krishna, but I want to chant Gora Gora. Yes, so this is how Sukadeva Goswami, he has so many incarnations like that, So every time Krishna comes, so we are reincarnating so many times, because we are not Goswamis. We are reincarnating because of our senses. So we are reincarnating because if I become too attached to eating meat, I have to become a tiger, incarnate as a tiger. If I want to just sleep all the time, I become a bear, So we are reincarnating like this. But Sukadeva Goswami, he's also reincarnating as a parrot, as a Goswami, and he's always incarnating because of Krishna's pastimes. So every time Krishna incarnates, yada yada hi dharmasya glane bhavati bharata bhutanam dharmasya tadatmanam shrijamyaham, then all his devotees incarnate with him. So we want to incarnate like that, don't we? Yeah. So even in the Gaura Lila, if you become attached to Gauranga Mahaprabhu, you can be in the Gaura Lila and in the Krishna Lila. How about that? That's what Sukadeva Goswami wanted to do. He was in the Gaura Lila and in the Krishna Lila. So, but if you're only Krishna Lila, then who knows about Gaura Lila? Then if you become attracted to Gauranga, become a Goswami very quickly, become progress very quickly. You can be in Gaura Lila and in Krishna Lila. So, yeah, so this is the thing. So Sukha means parrot. Deva means divine. He's a divine parrot. Sukadeva. And he's a Goswami. He's a boss. So this is my short talk about Sukadeva Goswami. So I didn't have all my notes. I was going to say other things actually. One thing I do remember now. So this verse is talking about, sorry, Prabhupada in the purple is talking about here, how one is going from being a transcendentalist. There are different types of transcendentalists. He's saying that there's impersonal transcendentalist and there's personal transcendentalist, two types of transcendentalist. But what we find is that every time there's a impersonalist who comes in contact with a personalist, every time there is a non-devotee spiritualist, we ever met any people who are spiritual? I'm really spiritual, man. I'm really spiritual. Yeah, I love spirituality. We come across with these impersonal spiritualists. Every time such a spiritualist comes in contact with the personal spiritualist, the devotee of Krishna, devotee of Krishna is a personalist, because Krishna, he's got spiritual qualities. So if we're attracted to Krishna's spiritual qualities, then we're a personal spiritualist. Then we always find that the impersonalist will become personalist. You know that? In our history of different types of transcendentalists, the impersonalists always become personalist. We never hear any stories where some personalist, some devotee becomes impersonal. Do you know any stories like that? It never happens. But impersonalist becoming personalist, that's what's in this story as well. It said that he became fully personally realized from hearing Bhagavatam, Sukadeva Goswami. The 4 Kumaras, they're the sons of Lord Brahma. They were jnanis, they were impersonalists. But then what happened to them? They just smelled the tulsi leaves and they became devotees. They smelled, just smelling the tulsi leaves. So they were already sense controlled. You know, they're already swamis. They already had the control of their senses. They were already spiritually perfect. But even they became attracted. There was something they didn't have. That smell of the tulsi leaves which come from the lotus feet of the Lord. That fragrance attracted even someone who is Atma Rama. They were Atma Rama. They were self-satisfied. But they were not personalists. They were not the higher level of Atma Rama. But when they became devotees, then they could even teach others Krishna consciousness. Like, who is that king which they became their disciple? Anyone know? Whose disciple the Kumaras had as their disciple? Is there in the Bhagavatam? Prithu Maharaj, isn't it? Became their disciple, I believe. I may be wrong. So like that, we always find that the impersonalists, they can become personalists. But the personalist should never become impersonalist. So Prabhupada is highlighting that here. So I'll stop now because there's a few minutes left. I want to give you an opportunity to ask questions. And we have Partha Prem Prabhu here, who I'm sure is much more capable than I of answering any questions. But I will try my best, and happy to be corrected.
Thank you very much, Prabhuji, for today's session. It was so interesting. Like children, we love stories as well. And you took us through this journey and made it so interesting. Prabhuji, I have are there any questions or comments from the group? Okay, till people are thinking about questions, maybe I could start with a question. Prabhuji, it is said that, I don't know whether you are aware, but there is Pushti Margi, and they have Sri Vallabhacharya, Mahaprabhu Vallabhacharya, and he is supposed to be the reincarnation of Sukadev, the parrot. So, and he happens to be in the pastime of Lord Chaitanya. So then how was he in the forest? Or did he then, after the forest episode, then he was Vallabhacharya? Just need some clarification.
Yeah, I cannot say so much about if he was the incarnation of Sukadeva Goswami, because I haven't heard that myself. So I cannot comment on that. But our authority is the book known as the Gaura Ganadesha Dipika. That's our authority. In that book, it tells you all of the associates of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who they are in the Krishna Leela. So that's the authority. Because different people who were around at that time of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they had their own ideas. There are other kind of non-authorized copies of this, not this book, but there are other types of the who's who in the spiritual world books. But this is our authority, the Gaura Ganadesha Dipika. So there it tells you who is Sukadeva Goswami in Krishna Leela and in Gaura Leela. You can check there. Another thing is, he did meet Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Vallabhacharya, He met Lord Chaitanya, and he came to Lord Chaitanya with a book, commentary on the Bhagavatam, which Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he didn't want to read at that time. And so then Vallabha, he took that book to Gadada Pandit. And Gadada Pandit heard that book. He heard that. And he said that in his heart, because his mood was very different. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was a sannyasi. But Gadada Pandit, he was very humble in the sense that, he was very meek. He didn't speak up. He didn't share his views to say what's right and wrong. But he listened humbly, just simply listening and listening. But in his heart, he was feeling that, how would Chaitanya Mahaprabhu feel if he hears that I'm reading, listening to this commentary? So that pastime was there as well, that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Gadada Pandit both had this, they both gave their association to Vallabhacharya. Some commentators, they say then that because of that mood, that humble mood that Gadada Pandit had, that Vallabhacharya, he learned from Gadada Pandit, became his disciple. So that much we know.
Thank you very much, Prabhuji, for that clarification. Any other questions or comments? I know we have exhausted our time, but if there is any question, yes, Panchali Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you very much for the wonderful class. So mine is a very basic question, Prabhuji. So it's on the meaning of Goswami. So is Goswami the same meaning as Rishikesha? Are they just synonyms of each other?
No, they're slightly different, or they're quite different. So Rishikesha is Krishna's name, because Krishna, he is, I cannot tell you the etymology, I can't remember off the top of my head, but also means master of the senses.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Krishna is the master of our senses, and we can only become the master of our senses by serving him. You see, how do we master our senses? We have to give our senses something to do. Yeah, because we can artificially try and master our senses. Yeah, we can try and become like Krishna, we can try and become like Lord Chaitanya, but we won't be possible, especially not in this day and age. Impossible to become the master of the senses in the way that Krishna, in the way that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they did. We can't do that. Because when Krishna had danced with so many gopis, he was still detached. He wasn't, he didn't run, he didn't, perform any, any illicit activity in the sense, he didn't unite with any of those gopis. Krishna was detached, even amidst so many women. Yeah, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he showed the highest level of renunciation. So we can't imitate Krishna, and that's Krishna's name, Rishikesh. He is the master of our senses. But what we can do, we can master our senses by serving Krishna. Yeah, that's called bhakti. When we do that, that's called bhakti. Rishikena Rishikesha Sevanam Bhaktir Uchate. Bhakti means when your senses are used in the service of Krishna. Yeah. Sarvapadi Vinirmuktam Tat Paratvena Nirmalam Rishikena Rishikesha Sevanam Bhaktir Uchate. So this is what Rupa Goswami is teaching us. That if we think we are the controllers, if we think that If we think that I am this and I am that in the material world, if we think I have this position and that position, yeah, then we are identifying with the body. But if we think that we are just Krishna's servant, if we just think that my senses are for Krishna's pleasure, then that's bhakti.
Okay, I
We can
understand
actually
now.
control the
Prabhuji.
senses that way.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Thanks, Prabhuji.
Yeah. So that's the secret, actually. Yeah. Why Lord Shiva was running after Sukadeva Goswami? Because he told him all the secrets. He didn't want anyone to know the secrets. So he ran after him. This is a secret. You can't go and tell this to everyone. Huh? And then when Sukadeva Goswami he was hiding there in where Vyasadeva was reciting, he said, "Why are you coming here to kill the parrot?" He said, "Because he knows all the secrets." And then Vyasadeva asked him, "What's the effect? What's the result of hearing all the secrets of the Bhagavatam?" And then Lord Shiva says, "Then you become immortal." And then Vyasadeva said, "Then how can you kill him anyway?" Then Lord Shiva started to laugh. He said, "What am I doing?" He just went back. He thought, forget it. You see? So he knew the secret. He became a Goswami. And then he shared all the secrets with us. Hari Guna Shipita Matir, isn't it? He gave us the secret in this verse. That's why Prabhupada writes at the end. The question as to how Sukadeva Goswami was attracted by the narration of the Bhagavatam is thus completely answered in this sloka. That's the last sentence, the conclusion. Okay, I think we're over time. Sorry about that.
That's okay, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, can I ask one more question, please? If you have
Oh,
the
sure.
time.
Okay. I thought that would run out of time, but yeah, sure.
Prabhuji, in the Bhagavad Gita, when we were reading, the impersonalists were really, I don't have a better word, but condemned. I mean, the language was very strong that you shouldn't be an impersonalist. But here in this purport, it's quite mellow that the impersonalists can become personalists, and it's okay. It's okay. I mean, that's the impression I'm getting. Is that true, Prabhuji, or is it just a figment of my imagination?
So one of the questions which Arjuna asked to Krishna is, which is better, the impersonal or the personal? I believe that's 8th chapter. There's a series of questions in the 8th chapter. I believe it's there, if I'm not mistaken. And then Krishna answers. He says that better is the personal, one who worships the personal aspect of the Supreme. And Krishna gives a reason why. He says, because for those who have got senses, it's easier to worship the personal aspect of the Supreme. So who here doesn't have senses? I couldn't sense if anyone does or not. Everyone has got senses here, isn't it? So for us, if you've got senses, use your sense, use your common sense, be a devotee. That's what Krishna is saying. Yeah. Why would you want to become an impersonalist?
Thank you very much, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, I'll hand over to Parth Prabhu. Parth Prabhu, is it possible for you to end the session? Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yes, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you very much for your nice class. It's very nice. And also you described the pastime of Sukadeva Goswami, as well as the how Sukha in the Radharani's Parrot, and also the same in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Leela, Chaitanya Gaur Leela, how he's there. It's very nice, very amazing, Prabhuji. At least we can know so many things, new things from you. Thank you very much, Prabhuji, for your nice class.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai. It's all glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Yes, Prabhuji. And also I sometimes thanks all the devotees who joined here. I request all the devotees, please unmute yourself and chant Hare Krishna mantra for glorification of His grace, Sacinandana Karuna Prabhu. Please join. Hare
Krishna.
Hare Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Hare Rama,
Ram
Hare Rama,
Ram,
Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Rama Rama Hare Hare.
Vanchakalpatarubhishta kripa sindhubhya patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Srila Prabhupada ki
Jai.
His Grace Sacinandana Karuna Prabhu ki jai.
Jai.
Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki Jai.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.